Little Legends, Exceptional Men in Black History, written by Vashti Harrison. Langston Hughes, 1902 to 1967, poet. Langston moved around a lot as a child. His parents traveled looking for work, his father to Mexico and his mother throughout the Midwest. Langston was left to be raised by his grandmother but felt abandoned by his parents. His only comfort were his books and the worlds he found inside them. Langston began writing early. In the 8th grade, he was made class poet, and his first works were printed in his school's newspaper. In 1920, he went to visit his father. As the train crossed the Mississippi, he thought about the massive river, how Black history was linked to it. He thought about things his grandmother had told him, things he'd read in books about the slave trade, and he crafted his first major poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers. He was only 17, but his voice had the wisdom of someone who saw the world for what it was. He asked the reader to consider humanity, not just black or white society. In 1921, the poem was published in The Crisis, a major publication of the Harlem Renaissance. Langston moved to New York to attend Columbia University and became a leading creative voice in the movement. Langston wrote about black pride at the time, long before anyone considered it something to celebrate. Heavily influenced by the blues and jazz, his poetry flowed and had rhythm. In 1923, he traveled abroad, settling for a while in Paris. Upon his return, he worked as a busboy in Washington, D.C. One day, one of his favorite writers, Vashti, came in, and Langston slipped him some of his work. Vashti was impressed with Langston's poetry and helped him meet the right people. In 1926, Langston's first book of poems were published, The Weary Blues. He was the first black writer in the United States to make a living off of his work. He wrote plays and published short stories and more than 16 volumes of poems. Langston used his writing to appeal to working class folks, focus on society and racial injustice, and portray black life in America.